Hey guys and girls, my name's Dan. Welcome back to The Forge. In this episode of Trust Me, I'm a Blacksmith, let's talk about tongs. So in this episode, we're going to work on the nibs. You may have seen the previous episode where I made these blanks. If you haven't, there's a link in the description and there will be a card at the end of the video. Not a card, like a thing to click on. There'll be a thing to click. I seriously suggest that you should go and check that video out first. This is a really detailed video on how to make the nibs, the blanks for a pair of tongs. This video is going to be as detailed about how to make nibs. I'm going to make these nibs as I would expect you to see nibs for a pair of flat bits or wolf jaws, and then I'm going to round them up and turn them into nibs for a set of scrolling pliers. I'm also going to be making some welded reins. Welded rein tongs are really easy to make if you can fire weld. If you can't fire weld, it's going to rule out a lot of you guys using gas forges, unfortunately, unless you're using quite a high carbon steel, somewhere in your upper medium range carbon steel to make your tongs out of. You might be successful with your fire welds. But I might be wrong there. Let me know if you can fire weld mild steel in your gas forges. I'm sure there's someone out there that will say that they can. But basically, anyway, today nibs, I'm going to forge these out how I like to forge them, and then I'm going to show you what they should look like as I go through. Again, 2 angles on this camera, and then I'm going to round them up into my scrolling pliers, which I'm desperate for because I needed them the other day and I haven't got any. Right, let's get on. Okay, so I'm going to take this nib here. I'm going to place the nib, so with the hinge plate or the boss facing down, and I'm going to push into the anvil, keeping the tong, the back of the hinge plate tight. Now what I want to do is, first thing I'm going to do is just straighten this up, because it's a little bit on the wall. Right, what I want to do is I want to keep this back part here of the tong, of the nib. I want this piece here to pretty much stay the same thickness, but I want this to come to a taper, to a point. So what I'm just going to do is bring the nibs to a taper and try and keep them square, and 20 mil thick. This is a bit cold. I'm aware that I'm forging a lot in these videos, a bit cold. So basically what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to bring this to a taper, but leave the back part of the nib at the thickness that we started with. So this should be 10 mil or 3/8-ish, just over or just under half the starting stock thickness. And then this distance here should be the width of the starting stock thickness, so about 20 mil or 3/4 of an inch. Okay, so same again. I'm going to work about 2/3 of the end of the bar. I'm just going to draw a taper in. Like so. I'm not worried so much about what the end of the nib looks like. If it's not quite square and flat, it doesn't matter. I'm not worried about that. What I'm trying to get is this taper. I've taken this down to about 6 mil or 1/4 of an inch. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the edges off of this nib. Like so. Down again. Again, I'm forging far too cold for this exercise. Okay, this is a bit of a brush. So what I've done here now is I've got a really fat chunky piece in the middle here, which starts at our original 3/8 thick, which is probably a bit under 3/8 thick now. I've probably forged that down a little bit, and it tapers away, which is 10 mil, and it tapers away to about 1/4 of an inch thick, which is 6 mil, and I've taken a chamfer on this side here and this side here. Now, the last thing I'm going to do is dress that up. Okay, I'm just going to straighten this up to start with. Make sure everything's nice and straight. Cool. Now I just want to talk a little bit about posture. It's really important to lock this arm off somewhere if you can. I hope you can see that. And I like my anvil a bit lower, and some people might not like that. But I'm keeping myself at a distance away from the work. Sometimes I crouch over a little bit too much, which isn't good. But this is the sort of posture you want to be in. Notice how I'm locking this up and keeping this tight into the anvil. Okay, and that's what you want your nib to look like. I will show you a cold close-up in just a second. I'm going to do the other side, slightly different camera angle, and hopefully that was some help. Right. Again, I'm pushing this in to the anvils so that whilst I'm working, it's not going to bounce around. Forging that end in at an angle, keeping it to the size dimensions that I mentioned. The starting stop is 3/4 inch or 12 mil. So these nibs don't want to be any wider than 20 mil. Take these corners off. And back in the fire. And all I'm going to do now is just take this out. Make sure it's all nice and straight. Get all these profiles in nicely. Lovely. Make sure it's all nice and square and looking tidy. I'm just going to give it a bit of a brush. For your viewing eyes only. Right, that's it. Simple. And this is what we've got. This end here is about 1/4 inch or 6 mil, with this end back here being about 3/8 or 10 mil. It's except from this little bit of a radius that I've got here, it's 3/4 inch across here, and the ends aren't perfect. I'm going to cut them off. I'm probably going to use a grinder just to tidy them up. In fact, I'm going to make these into scrolling tongs. But if these were normal nibs, I don't have any fears about getting an angle grinder, lopping that off, tidying it up, and making it looking all nice and dapper. It doesn't matter. If you're worrying about getting these the right length and they're really drastically wrong, I don't know if this nib here and this nib here are the same length. I haven't checked yet. I'm not worrying about that. Just keeping the thickness in these areas here and making sure everything looks nice and straight and nice and tidy. It's amazing what you can do with an angle grinder, sometimes referred to as the rotating file. That's it. I'm done. Okay, I've got myself a 2-pound rounding hammer-ish style hammer. It's got quite a large round face on this side and a flat face. It looks probably more like a Stanley pattern hammer than a rounding hammer. And what I'm going to do is to turn this into a scrolling nib, I need to make this pretty much square to start with. So I'm just going to come over to the bick, round face of my hammer, and then working along the length of the nib, I'm just going to take some of that size out of it. Turn that over. I'm just going to square it up. Just like so. Back in the fire. Okay, these are going to be a fairly chunky pair of scrolling pliers, which is fine by me. Because the ones I had before were quite thin. Okay, so basically I've taken that into an... It's sort of a rectangle at the back in shape, or an oblong, and then it comes down to square at the end. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the nib on the flat of the anvil with the hinge plate facing down. I'm going to turn it through 45 degrees. And just take this corner off. And then that one, and see how we're looking. Okay. Basically I need to turn this round, and in order to turn a square round, or this shape at least anyway, it needs to go octagon. Okay. 45 degrees, take off the corner. 45 degrees, take off the corner. I'm going to come on this inside now, and I'm holding this up at the angle of the taper. I'm just going to take these corners off as well, and the same on this side. But I'm working backwards this time. I'm working from the bottom of the tip. And also, I don't know if you can see, I'll show you in a minute, keeping my hand on my hip in order to get the angles in correctly. I'll show you this in a second. Okay. So basically just taking this octagon and trying to get this side the same width as this side and the same width as this side. Unfortunately these sides are a little bit flatter, so we're not going to get a perfect octagon at the back there, but just trying to get an octagon shaped taper running through the bar. Okay, nice and hot once again. I'm just going to show you that angle that I'm talking about. I'm holding the tongs back here on my hip. I'm keeping this bar at an angle by jamming this up tight against my leg here. And that's really going to help support you as you're working. Also, as I'm working, every time I can get this nib in here to save me forging it, I'm pushing it tight up against the anvil. Right, let's take the corners off the octagon. And as we take these corners off, hopefully this should start looking round. Now, okay, one last heat for these nibs, I think. I'm just taking the edges off. I'm starting from the back of the nib. I'm working down the length, just taking off all the corners as I go. Hopefully creating a new flat side. That flat side in itself then has two raised corners. I'm then taking those corners off. Every time I take a corner off, I'm putting a flat in. I'm just working down the length. And I'm working through the heats here. I'm just doing nice little gentle blows, working through the heats. I'm just planishing now. All I'm trying to do is tidy up this material. Okay, the other side. So I'm just going to come over and draw this down just slightly. Trying to make sure that everything goes nice and straight. And just while we're here on the heat, just going to take that corner off. And that one. And here's the thing, guys and girls. If this nib doesn't come out how you like it, and you've got plenty of material to work with, you can file or grind it into shape. Not completely into shape, I wouldn't suggest doing that, but you can find a little bit of grinding, or a little bit of fettling, as it's called in the trade, can give you some good results. And to be honest with you, I'm sure there's a lot of blacksmiths out there who look very professional and show you all their fine metal working, but at some point they'll definitely get the rotating file out. Okay, there's our octagon. And I'm just trying to get four even sides. Trying to get these three sides the same, and this is slightly different because it's quite wide at the back here. And again, these three sides the same, or as same as possible. Rounding up, I'm just going to take the corners off of the octagon now, and then this will make another flat side, giving me two more corners to take the sides of that octagon. And again, I'm just trying to keep work top to bottom, work down in a line, work from one end to the other. This will make sure that your work doesn't twist. Just working down the length. There, you can work from bottom to top, as long as you're travelling down your material in a fairly straight line. That'll stop your work from rotating. I'm fairly happy with that. Okay. And there you have one nib. Yeah, so basically tongs underappreciated, hard work to make, but once you have those skills, I think they're a little bit undervalued sometimes. Not by everyone, but I think they can be. Number one problem that most people have when they're forging something is they're not holding it properly. And you can see that, especially with within the degree level students who tend not to have a technical background. They tend to be aiming towards making sculptural items, and they've got quite awkward shaped objects. Getting a hold of your object is a really important aspect of tong making, and really will improve the quality of your work and the efficiency of your work more, and also the stress levels that come with making no end. So hopefully these videos are helping. The next video will be reins, drawing out the reins. So thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this video. Oh yes, one other thing, I make tongs. If you are struggling with tongs and you want to get yourself some, drop us an email, go to my website and send us an email via the contact box there. I might be able to help you out. So I also carry tong blanks. These are the tong blanks. These basically just sit in the cupboard waiting for someone to order something. And I'm quite happy to knock a couple of sets of these up for people if they want to get hold of them. And one last thing before we go, this video will be posted, or some part of this video will be posted on the Forging It Forward. If you're new to blacksmithing and you want to find a fairly non-toxic version of Facebook, so far so good. The administrators on the Forging It Forward group are really trying really hard over there to make a very helpful, friendly environment, hence why I'm trying to make these videos. Go over there and check that out if you saw this on the Forging It Forward group. Hello guys, nice to meet you if you're new to the channel, and that is everything. I'm pretty sure that's everything. So thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, remember to leave a like and subscribe, and if you are a subscriber, ring that bell for notifications, because that will tell you every time I make a video, and I make videos as often as possible. A little bit behind at the minute with videos, but they are definitely coming. So thank you for joining me. I will leave part 1 of this video up here, the series up here. I will leave another video here, down here, to me making some tongs. This is my Patreon. Please go and check that out. It's a great way to support this channel. And here is the subscribe button. Click that subscribe button. And yeah, subscribe. See you guys later. Bye bye.